Okay, take a look at these two coins. These are two coins that we have here in Canada. That one is 5 cents. It's called a nickel. And this one is 10 cents, and it's called a dime. Isn't that weird that the 10-cent coin is smaller than the 5-cent coin, even though it's worth more? You would think the smaller the coin, the less value it should be. And then the bigger it gets, it would be more value. I don't know why. It's weird. Here in Canada, right, the dime is smaller than the nickel. How about in your country? Do you have this weird thing in your country? Or is it, like a linear sort of is it like a progressive, do the coins get progressively bigger as their value get higher? I don't know. It's sort of weird. I don't know why we do that. But what I want to teach you in this lesson is that nickel and dime is also an idiom. Okay, it's an idiom that means to charge someone small amounts of money to maintain a product or service. Okay, nickel and dime, to nickel and dime someone. Have you ever heard that? Well, it means to charge someone small amounts of money, and it's really annoying. Okay, for example, have you ever signed up for a cell phone here in Canada? They might advertise, a cell phone plan as $50 a month. So you think, oh, that's great. I just have to pay $50 a month. But when you get your bill at the end of the month, you see all these weird little fees, like maybe $5, $2, $1. And you're like, what are these? I thought I was only going to pay $50 a month. But turns out it's like $60 a month, or maybe more, maybe $70 a month. Okay, so those fees are really annoying, right? It's the same with banking. Sometimes banks charge you little fees for stupid little things, and it's really annoying. Okay, so you could call your bank and you could say, why are you nickel and diming me? Why are you nickel and diming me? Why are you charging small amounts of money for, stupid little things? Why are you doing that? That's annoying. Okay, so to nickel and dime here is a verb, right? So you are nickel and diming me. Okay, so to nickel and dime is an idiom, and it's a verb. Okay, now usually we use it with ing. Okay, most of the time I think you'll see it with ing. For example, you could say, I sold my car because it was nickel and diming me. I sold my car because it was nickel and diming me. Okay, what that means is that your car was always having little problems, and you'd have to fix this and that, and maybe your signal light stops working on your car, and you have to pay $50 to get that fixed, and then maybe your radio or your CD player stops working, and you have to pay $100 or $200 to get that fixed. That's just frustrating, right? Nobody wants a car that that's just costing them just little amounts of money all the time. It's called nickel and diming. And if you have this car for the rest of your life, it's gonna eat up all your money, right? All your money is gonna be sucked out of your bank account, right? Your wallet is going to be sucked dry because this car is nickel and diming you, just taking small amounts of money, right? So very often we say nickel and diming me to death. Okay, to nickel and dime you to death. That means it's just gonna take small amounts of money until you're broke, until you don't have any more money. Okay, it's kind of like the expression "death by 1,000 cuts." Is that the expression? Death by 1,000 cuts, right? If you get one little cut, it's okay, right? Maybe there's just a little bit of blood, a few drops of blood. But if you get like 1,000 little cuts, then you're gonna bleed to death. It's sort of that same idea, right? If you have a car, or if some service or product is nickel and diming you to death, that's not a good thing. Now here's a good example of nickel and diming. Okay, have you heard of BMW? Everybody's heard of BMW. BMW is one of the most recognizable brands around the world. Well, recently, they started charging their customers $80 a year for Apple CarPlay. Do you know what Apple CarPlay is? Apple CarPlay is sort of it means you can use apps on the screen in your car instead of using your phone. It's basically like having your phone on the display in your car. So you don't have to open your phone and load Google Maps or Apple Maps. You can just push, on the display and that comes up, right? You can listen to your music, make phone calls, everything just from your car. So it's basically like having an iPhone in your car, right? So I think it's becoming more and more popular. A lot of car companies are starting to offer this for free, but BMW is charging its customers $80 a year. And that's just such a terrible decision. It's such a stupid thing for BMW to do because BMW is perceived as like a luxury brand, right? It's sort of a premium brand. It's not a cheap company like Ford or Kia or Toyota, right? And I think a lot of those, I think Ford and Toyota, those companies are offering Apple CarPlay for free, okay? But BMW is charging their customers $80 a year. And that is just such a bad decision. It's such a bad decision. So you could say BMW is nickel and diming its customers. Oh, I made a mistake. Oops, there shouldn't be an apostrophe there between it and S. Right, so that's a mistake. Sometimes when I make these lessons, I just make them really fast and I don't check them over. Maybe I should get into the habit of proofreading my slides before delivering the lesson. Okay, so that's a mistake. The word its is wrong. It should just be ITS with no apostrophe. If it has an apostrophe, that means it is. Okay, so this would be BMW is nickel and diming, it is customers. That's wrong, right? It should just be it's without an apostrophe. So I apologize for that mistake. But even teachers can sometimes make mistakes, right? So anyway, so BMW is nickel and diming its customers, right? And that's not good for BMW, but it's a good example, right? We could use this idiom here. It's sort of like, it would be like if you went to that hotel, right? If you went to that hotel and you paid $10,000 a night, right? It's a very expensive, luxurious hotel. And if you got to the hotel and you ordered a coffee, right? You called room service and you said, hey, I'm thirsty for a coffee. Can you bring a coffee to my room? And they bring you a coffee and they say, that will be $2, sir. You have to pay $2. What? $2 for a cup of coffee after I've paid $10,000 a night for this hotel room? You got to be kidding me. That would just be ridiculous. If that hotel did this, that would be such a bad decision, right? They would be nickel and diming their customers. And that's not a good thing if you want to be perceived as like a luxury brand, right? Expensive hotels don't do this. They'll give you free coffee, free wine, whatever. It would be better for a hotel like this to charge $15,000 a night and have free coffee than to charge $10,000 and charge its customers $2. Millionaires and billionaires don't want to be paying $2 for coffee. They just want to pay, go there, and get everything for free, right? So that would be an example of nickel and diming. I'm pretty sure that hotel doesn't do this, right? And I'm pretty sure luxury car companies don't charge their customers for Apple CarPlay. But BMW, I couldn't believe it when I heard this. $80 a year. Can you believe that? $80 a year is such an insignificant amount of money. That's like that's less than $7 a month. $7 a month. And BMWs aren't cheap. You can easily spend $100,000 on a BMW, and that's not even a top of the line BMW. right? I think, you could go into a BMW dealership here in Calgary and, you could walk away with a decent car for 100,000. If you want a really nice one, like a BMW M5, that would probably cost you closer to 150,000 Canadian dollars, right? So if you're already paying like 100 grand for a car, and then they want to charge you like $7 a month, that's just ridiculous. That's an example of nickel and diming. Okay, so BMW customers could say, BMW is nickel and diming us. Now, I probably will never own a nice car, like a luxury brand car like BMW or Mercedes or any of those. But if I was in the market for a luxury vehicle, in the market means looking to buy, right? Shopping around for a nice car. I would definitely not buy a BMW because of this. This is just annoying. There's no reason to do that. BMW should rather just increase the price of their vehicles and not charge their. That's just so stupid. Let me know down in the comments if this would be a deal breaker for you. I think for me, this would be a deal breaker. Just like if I stayed at this hotel and they wanted to charge me $2 for a drink, that would be a deal breaker for me. If you go to a nice hotel and then they want to, you're already paying so much money, right? There's no reason for them to nickel and dime. That would be like what a cheap hotels do that. Oh, you have to pay $5 for, for this, or it's just ridiculous. So there's no reason BMW should be doing that. But you could say BMW is being cheap. Okay, they're being cheap. That means they're being really frugal. Okay, they're not being like, generous. They're not being like liberal with their. They should, like, for a luxury brand like this, it's really bad to be cheap. Okay, if a person is cheap or a brand is cheap, that's bad, right? It's bad. Like if you say that person is really cheap, that's a bad thing. That's not a compliment. Okay, so in this case, cheap means they're sort of screwing over their customers. Yeah, they're being overly frugal, and there's no need for that because they're a luxury brand. Right? You wouldn't expect that from a company like BMW. But hey, I want to know. I want you to tell me about a time that you've been nickel and dimed. Tell me about a time that you've been nickel and dimed. Maybe it was a product that you bought that kept breaking down, kept costing you a lot of money just to maintain it. Maybe it was a service like a cell phone. Your bill every month, they're charging you for all these stupid little expenses. So let me know what experience. I know I've had so many experiences like this with so many things in life where something costs a little bit. Cars are really bad for that. If you have a car and something breaks or this or that, or sometimes technology can be that way too. Like your computer might stop working, you have to pay to get it fixed, or maybe the buttons. I know MacBook, like Apple, has a very bad reputation for its keyboards. Now, I've gotten lucky with my keyboard on this model, but the newer models, this is a 2014. I think I bought this in 2014 or maybe 2015. So I've had this laptop for a long time, but the newer models, they are notorious for having keyboard issues. So a lot of people, they get a brand new MacBook, they start typing and a key just breaks or it stops working, and then they have to send it back to Apple, and that costs maybe, I don't know if it costs money or if Apple fixes it for free, but it's just a big hassle. And so that would be also an example of nickel and diming, like having a product that just nickel and dimes you to death. But anyway, let me know your experiences down there in the comments, and I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.